Hello everybody and welcome to Cinema Savvy and welcome back for a brand new movie review. It is myself, George, and tonight / this morning, whenever this video is going to be going up, this is the review for one of the most anticipated films of the year, one of the biggest films of the year, and easily the most insane film of the year. This is, of course, F9, Fast 9, Fast and Furious 9, whatever they want to call it. It is a part of the Fast Saga. It's a saga now, and I'm here to spill the beans because I've been very fortunate tonight to attend a press screening, which was insane to say the least. Fast and Furious branded popcorn for you guys at home. That's how insane it was. There were Corona beers. It was like family reunited with sort of 200, 300 other random folks. So stupendous. That's just to describe the night. I'm going to actually get into the film itself. However, before I do, because I'm clearly on such a high step, I'm going to go over our socials. Well, obviously, if you're new to the channel, if this is the first video you've ever clicked on, it's probably going to be a waffling mess because I'm by myself on this one. Chris will be watching it this Thursday. I'm going to have a chat with him after about it because I know he's very excited to see it and I cannot wait to discuss it with him. But I want to know your thoughts on the Fast and Furious films. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing spoilers today. Do not worry about spoilers. Please don't put spoilers, but do comment your thoughts on the franchise as a whole. Because it is a franchise is an understatement. It's like a franchise of two halves. So I want to know your thoughts. Comment below. I'll have a reply to those. I'll have a look at those. And if you don't have Fast and Furious, then this 9 films in, 10 films in with the spin-off, it's probably not the video for you. That being said, I'm going to be my politest to discuss this. I don't have the words, but I do have the words to go over our social medias, which is Facebook at Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy, letterboxd.com/cinema-savvy, and of course we have a link in the description below to our TeePublic store. Lots more stuff coming up on the way, so do have a check of us on the socials. Like this, our videos do get announced randomly, late notice, all that kind of jazz. However, I am of course here to talk about F9, Fast 9. I still don't know what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it Fast 9. Let's keep that a little bit easier, shall we? Let's keep calling it Fast 9. And I think there's no other way to start other than the thoughts on the franchise. I think we're 20 years in now, which is insane. One of the longest running current franchises, I would say, and it's been a franchise that's been with me for a very long time. I was very young when these came. Obviously, I didn't see Cinema Age 5. However, I would say I got into these in probably 07, 08 time. Fast and Furious 4. Can't remember the title of it. I know there's so many different orders. Fast 4 was the first one I saw at the cinema, and that was around the time where they were showing for you guys in the UK. ITV2 would always show the first 3, so I'd seen the first 3. At that point, I really enjoyed them. Loved Vin Diesel at that age, as many people did. He wasn't just the Iron Giant. He'd been in so many other things. Triple X, one of them, and of course, Saving Private Ryan. And obviously, back then, 2009 when that came out, I did not know what this would go on to become. Obviously, Fast 5 is what Fast 5 is, one of the most incredible and insane action romps to me in the history of cinema. The Rock saved that franchise, as I've jumped on the back many times for one of the most important actors to the Fast Saga, who isn't in this film, which I guess we'll get to in a short amount of time. We'll see a bit behind the scenes politics that happened when this film was being filmed. Again, also a film that's had issues because of COVID. Was meant to come out last year, one of the first films I think after Bond to move. So they were almost perfect. They did move it forward a year, and then it was back to July. Then it was back here to June. So it's had an insane story, like many of us. But just my thoughts on the franchise. I love this. I'm very much I can sit there, I can watch an Oscar film, I can get enjoyment to an extent from an Oscar film. But can you have 2 cars like pulling safes around the city of Rio for the most ridiculous, over-the-top action experience? I don't think things like that can be topped. We've had submarines. We've had so many insane things happen over the last 5-6 years. Parachute on planes. Like, I don't know where you started, but these films to me are, I use the term cinema as a, not, what a picture, that kind of thing. This is the film you go to the cinema with your friends with. This is an experience to watch in the company of others. I always go to watch this film with one of my relatives, at least a group of friends from school, happy to see them more than once, to see it with different people. They are very much the cinema experience that you want, that insane over-the-top action. This is an IMAX must-see. All of them. If there was a day when they could do an IMAX marathon, I'd be down for it. But it's the big screen experience. It's what you want the screen for, the sound for. And I think that's such an important part to me of film, that I don't mind dramas. I can watch dramas at home. I can watch dramas at the cinemas. But, comparing something that's out now, The Father, phenomenal film. Am I going to say that The Father's a better cinematic experience than Fast 9? No. Is it a better film? Absolutely. And that's where I kind of I can manage that divide so easy. So of course, first thing I'm going to say is do watch this at cinema. But even heading into this film, um, I wasn't the biggest fan of Fast 8. I still enjoyed it. I was entertained by it. I go into these with 8 films in. You kind of know what you're going to get at this point. I actually enjoyed Hobbs and Shaw, I think, more than I enjoyed Fast 8. And obviously, we always joke saying, what they're going to do next. They're going to go to space. What can very much this film delivers upon a lot of those what could be done that's not been done before, because I've seen things that's never been done before, and the trailers didn't do too much. Again, I'm going to say a victim of COVID. I'm not saying it was like Bond where we saw the same trailer for like 6 months, but very much marketing began a long time ago now, and I don't need this one to be marketed to me. It doesn't matter. They can suck the Fast and Furious logo, and I'll be there opening night. I'm going again this Thursday. There isn't a Jurassic World Park preview. I saw that tonight. Incredible. So if you're a dinosaur fan, go watch it at the IMAX to get that 5-minute sneak peek, because it looked incredible. That's a completely different conversation, though. But no, heading into this film, I think a really important thing was that we had the return of Justin Lin. He was obviously the director that started on Tokyo Drift, which I'm going to actually bring up again in a short amount of time. But he's had the biggest impact on this franchise outside of course, the actors. Kudos to the studios for putting the money in and all that kind of stuff. But I think Justin Lin is partially responsible for the success of this franchise now. There is no denying that at all. So that was a really big thing, I think, him coming back. And I didn't have a problem with F. Gary Gray. I thought he was absolutely fine when he came in, and some of the other directors we've had, but it's the whole bringing everyone back together type thing. And I think Justin Lin, directing wise, he's able to direct the action with the ridiculousness. I don't want to say the drama, but he's able to at least home into character development and focus on that. Obviously, it's not a strong point of the Fast films, and obviously we'll get to John Cena later on, which is a humongous talking point, not just in physique, but let's, of course, start with the main man himself, Vin Diesel, Dominic Toretto. I can't say it as well as Jason Statham ever has been able to say it, but Fast and Furious is a fascinating conversation. I'm sure I've said this many times before, so you're all going to get bored of me saying it again. Fast and Furious to Vin Diesel is Shakespeare. This is his magnum opus. This is his life's work. He'd probably, say to his kids one day, hey, forget Saving Private Ryan, forget the Iron Giant, Dominic Toretto is a legacy, and I'm not criticizing that. I absolutely love it, but he's taken this film so seriously, so insanely seriously, that it becomes funny. And I think this is where the Justin Lin stuff comes in. He can make those moments funny, and I don't know if it's ever intentional with Vin Diesel. He always seems like the thumb sticking out that is he in on it? Is he so well in on it that he's doing this incredible serious role, or is he laughing with them? Because we know what the Rock's like with them. We know the Rocket's a laugh. He's enjoying it. The man tensed his arm and broke a cast. That's the incredible things this franchise has given cinema. And with Vin Diesel, I can never know, but Dominic Toretto is as Dominic Toretto he's going to be. I'd say there's probably more character development in this one than earlier films for him, and that's mainly because of the addition of John Cena. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because obviously people are going to say, oh, he's got a brother that it's not been mentioned for the previous 8 films, and we'll get to that. But of course, you need to have backstory, and that's where character development comes in. There's actually a very interesting backstory. There's scenes in this where they build up their past. It's not just words said on a plate. We get some visualization with it. We get some great flashbacks to previous moments in the other films, and I thought they handled his past very well. It just made me question, I don't want to say the age, because I don't want to really apply physics and logics to a Fast and Furious franchise, but his story begins essentially now in the late 80s, and that's like kind of late teens, early adult Dom, so it's is it meant to be 60 now? I don't know, but character-wise, I'm not going to question the timeline, because it's, once you start adding Tokyo Drift, it's just going to be absolutely ridiculous. But aside from Vin Diesel, before we get to John Cena, let's talk about the family, because this is what makes the films. It's all of them. We, of course, have the return of many characters. I'd say the Michelle Rodriguez, of course, we all know as Letty. She's absolutely fine. She's always great for the action scenes. It's not exactly a film that can balance her acting chops. I think a film like Widows is still superior in that sense, but you know what you're coming in for. We've got Ludacris, we've got Tyrese with each other. Those two's duo, they're still the funniest two in the films. When they're together, I don't even know if it's a script. Whatever they say goes. There is an incredible speech. It's probably one of the greatest moments in cinema history. It comes in this film, and it is so insanely ridiculous. Only Ludacris could pull it off. It is a moment, and it's ludicrous working with Tyrese. Those two as a duo, and I know that we get Nathalie Emmanuel in there as well, who gets a little bit more to do than the previous films, I'd say. I think she's absolutely fine. She's still a welcome addition to the family, but it's still very much that awkward humour attached to those two who work so well. She's always sort of been misplaced in there. But again, I'm not going to question that because I'm here to see all of them. It's an ensemble piece, isn't it? And of course, the main question a lot of people are going to ask is the return of Han. Sung Kang is back in the role, and you will want to know how he survived. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to tell you to watch this film at the cinema, but it's as ridiculous as you can expect. So I'm just going to leave that there. That it's incredible. It is so incredible, and I cannot wait to discuss it a little bit further because, you know, Tokyo Drift is now a film that's one of the most important Fast films. You can actually probably ignore 1, 2, and 4, kickstart the franchise at 5, but you actually need Tokyo Drift now in there. Like, it is essential viewing, and this film keeps delivering upon that. So Tokyo Drift, I've always repped that film. Incredible song, as everyone knows. If you're a certain age, it was a song that everyone used to play at school. So the Sung Kang stuff, I enjoy it. It's nice to see him back. I would say he doesn't get too much to do, but we've reached a point where 10 films in, the only character that stayed dead's Jesse. I just don't think we're going to get him back from that very first film, which is incredible to think about. Like, every character that died was brought back to a point. And that's just something to think about. Of course, there's some other ones, like irrelevant villains and whatnot. We're not going to get Gina Carano back, thank God. But I also want to really bring up, of course, John Cena. As many people know on this channel, I used to love wrestling. Understatement, would go to it a lot. John Cena has always been one of the most fascinating ones of the era I grew up in. He was always the one you would imagine would become the household name, right? We knew The Rock would be an A-lister, and he delivered upon that. And I was shocked at how good Batista is acting-wise. And we know he said in the past that he's turned down the Fast films. He wanted to avoid that sort of cliche and try his own stuff. And I've got a mad respect for that he's able to deliver upon that. And I'm very excited to see Knives Out 2, not just for the film, but to see him in a leading role. So it's got my curiosity, but this franchise was built for John Cena. He is The Rock. I'm not saying he has that natural charisma, but the long-lost brother of Dominic Toretto. I don't even know where you started with that. Again, we're 9 films in. Let the film do the talking. It's ridiculous, and it's incredible, and it works. And I think what sells it is John Cena himself. And I don't want to sit and say he's had a fantastic performance, but he is believable as the brother of Dominic Toretto. There is some incredible camera cuts, and it's just his face. He has this kind of, not natural charisma, but his chin is so chiseled. I've not seen anything like it, and it's insane that John Cena is in this franchise, and he fits in so well. He is an absolute machine. There's nothing more I can add about him. He can do action. We know he can do the fighting side of it. And I think the main thing is he works with him. He's believable as a villain, physicality, intimidation-wise, and it's funny. The film is just completely ironically funny, and that's me sort of moving on from the cast now. Like, my actual thoughts on the film. I'm going to talk about action in a moment, but it's so funny because I think at this point in time, it's self-aware. And I know there have been previous comments in other films and whatnot, but this is something where I sat back absolutely pissing myself at moments that no one has any right to piss themselves at. And the people in attendance at the cinema were doing it too. And it was all at different points. Everyone had it in their own moments. And I don't know if there's a case of that you have to build it up until you can finally let out the roar of laughter. But it was just so good. And it's ridiculous. I mean, the action is, obviously it's a CGI fest, but we always laugh in, I think it's Fast 6 with the tank when he jumps across the motorway bridge, catches her, lands on the windshield. That's like a standard thing now. Like, it's happening like all the time. It's like the superhero landing. Like, Vin Diesel doing a Superman landing is nothing unextraordinary. And this film delivers upon, what have we done before that's not been done now? It delivers on that so much because there are things. I'm not going to give them away. I don't want to ruin anyone's experience, but if you're going to sit there and say, it can't do anything, I want car racing. Car racing returns in a very interesting, unique way. So if you're an old school Fast fan, maybe watch it for a flashback that involves some of that. But if you're here for the action, you will not go home disappointed. Physics was defied, science was destroyed, and even better than all of that, there are moments in which they actually go and get scientific to try and prove some points. I don't know why. I don't know the purpose of it. but it just works. It's silly. It's stupendous. I kind of tweeted afterwards that I don't have the words to explain this one. I don't know if I do. It's almost like a pick and mix of, here's I don't know, here's a device, here's something else, combine it together, and hey, you got a magnet plane. Like, how do you explain that? And it's just incredible, and it keeps everything. And I came out of that film in such an incredible state of mind that, it's a masterpiece of some proportion. Of course, it's not a critical analysis masterpiece. No. It's not an action masterpiece. No, it's not Fury. But there's something about these films that they're like gargantuan. They're in their own environment now. The Fast films don't really have a comparison to others. They can't be compared to others. There's nothing like them. And I think that's why they're so stupendous. For you Indiana Jones fans, there's an incredible Temple of Doom reference, the Star Wars references. It jumps off into the extraordinary by their own standards, and I just don't know how it's done. And this is again going back to Justin Lin. You make it work, man. Like, how do you do it? Fair play, and obviously with Vin Diesel in a producing role, these guys want to do 2 more films, and my God, you don't need to tell me you're going to do a 2-part. I'm going to be there for each of them on the opening night. So, if you're here for the action, you know exactly what you're going to get. There's no point going into a Fast and Furious film, 20 years down the line, thinking, oh, is this going to be the Fast film that gets me into the franchise? If you've seen 5, 6, 7, 8 and Hobbs and Shaw and you don't like it, you're not going to enjoy this film. It's as simple as that. But if you're in on them, if you've always been on them, then you're in for a ride. You know exactly what you're going in for. You're going in for a one more final last ride, as they always say. And here we are talking about a Fast 10, 11 double parter coming down the line. So that's probably the only way I can summarize the review. Of course, there are criticisms within the film when some actors are trying too hard, when they're trying to do serious talk and it just doesn't work. But it's the kind of things that I'm willing to pass. I'm not going into this film expecting the writing of Aaron Sorkin or the action of Nolan, all that kind of stuff. I know exactly what I'm going in for. And this is the conversation at hand. This is what I think of the film. That can you approach this in a different light? Because I do. I can't sit there and approach this film as anything else but a Fast film. I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm going to be entertained for. And if there was a Fast film where I'm not entertained, it doesn't work. That's going to be completely different. That's going to be understandable. But I can't go into this expecting some of the films I've seen previously. And I think that's the key with this. If you're in, you're already in. If you're not in, you're not in. And I want to also add, there's an incredible moment. We talk about heroes of cinema. There is a scene in which there is just chaos, death, decay everywhere. And a woman, rather than, when they jump under tables, she protects her dog. That is the highlight of the year at cinema so far. And now I'm talking about cinemas. The final thing I'm going to talk about before I round out is that go and see this film at cinema. Again, this is what cinemas are made for. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's got an IMAX screening. The sound design, the visuals. You need to see this on the biggest screen you can because it's one of the most ridiculous films you'll ever see. It's got some bizarre cameos. I had to ask Theo, who's been on the channel before, who one of the celebrities was that popped up, and I had no clue. That's my music knowledge out the window. Maybe it was already known, but it's just one of them where, there's no point trying to sell something if you're already sold. There's no point trying to convince you if you can't be convinced. So that's probably all I can say on this film. I'm going to obviously I've tried to keep it spoiler free. Maybe there'll be more discussions on this film in the future. Who knows? It could be some new series, So it'd be very interesting to hear your thoughts on this. Of course, this comes out in the cinemas in the UK it'll be 2 days from now, Thursday, the 24th of June. So do check that out. IMAX screenings have the Jurassic World preview, and comment below your thoughts on Fast, not just Fast 9 if you've seen it, but Fast and Furious. Is it too much? Are you in on the franchise? They're the kind of questions we want to know. Me and Chris love these films, so I love hearing from you guys about stuff like that. Keep them coming. Other videos on the channel, by the time this video goes up, we'll have The Spy Who Loved Me coming out tonight. That was done with Tom Butler from Maze Podcast, which is a phenomenal video. Not blowing smoke up our asses, but one of the best Bond videos yet. So if you've been enjoying those, do check that one out tonight. And we've got a couple of other things on the way, which we'll be discussing, of course, as every Wednesday does have, with the Loki spoiler discussion. So me and Chris will be live tomorrow, 8 p.m. GMT, the usual time for that one. Very excited to get to episode 3. We don't know what's going to happen, so we're in a whole world of our own. And as we always say, there's a lot of things coming out that we don't know about. There's a lot of videos that may pop up that we're not sure that might even not be a thing yet. So hit us up on our social medias: Facebook Cinema Savvy, Twitter at Cinema_Savvy, letterboxd.com/Cinema Savvy, and of course check out the TeePublic store in that description below. And I think that's everything I'm able to say on Fast 9 tonight. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll be sure to see you on the next one.